When two youngsters met in elementary school, they developed a friendship that stood the test of time. Although they lost touch after 6th grade, their paths crossed years later, just in time for high school prom and the fulfillment of an extraordinary promise. Ben Moser and Mary Lapkowicz shared a special connection that went back all the way to their elementary school days. They first met as 2nd graders, and it was only a matter of time before they became the best of buddies. Everyone, including their classmates and teachers, saw how protective Ben was of Mary and how he always tried to help and take care of her. He made a conscious effort to include her in all the school games and activities so that she didn't feel left out or miss out on the fun. The youngster's teacher, Tracy Spogli, recalled how Ben could charm Mary and put a smile on her face. She said his genuine concern for Mary stemmed not only from his words, but also his actions. Spogli added that Ben always tried to make his friend feel included and happy. When Ben saw his childhood friend, he was reminded of the promise he had made to her as a 4th grader. When the children reached 4th grade, their friendship became much more profound, warming the hearts of anyone who saw them together. After the school year concluded, Ben witnessed his cousin's prom walk and went home to his mother with an unusual request. He would take Mary to prom one day. Ben made a promise as a 4th grader, and while nobody would have held it against him if he didn't abide by his words, only time would tell how things were meant to unfold, especially since his friendship with Mary came to a halt in 6th grade when she transferred schools and didn't see him for years. After their paths diverged, Mary started helping her dad, a math professor, with her new school's football team in the Central Dauphin School District. On the other hand, Ben, passionate about football, was touched that her school friend remembered his promise after all those years and was ready to fulfill it. Recalling their thoughts about each other from the good old school days, Ben added, "I thought Mary was really cool." Meanwhile, Mary's sentiments were no different than Ben's, and she called him sweet. On May 8, 2015, the Pennsylvania teens stole hearts with their infectious smiles and matching outfits. Mary wore a corsage of roses on her wrist to complete her look, while Ben gave the finishing touches with a white boutonniere. As the happy teenagers posed for photographs, their parents were overcome with indescribable emotions. Ben's mom, Linda Moser, penned an emotional post where she expressed how proud she was of her big-hearted son for putting people first and making them feel special. She also wrote, "Today, with joyful tears in my eyes and down my face, I watched a promise made 7 years ago to a beautiful girl fulfilled." Neither Ben nor Mary thought there was anything peculiar about their companionship. In fact, Ben noted that he never treated Mary differently because she had Down syndrome, and emphasized that differences between people should help bring them together rather than keep them apart. A year later, the teenager's story became a viral sensation after it was picked up by multiple news outlets and shared all over social media. While their families were concerned that the widespread attention might attract undue criticism for Mary, it was the last thing on Ben's mind. Regarding the story, his mom shared, "It's not just a football quarterback or a girl with Down syndrome, but a friendship that withstood the test of time." The prom story's powerful impacts significantly changed Mary and Ben's lives. It enabled Mary to meet her favorite musician, Nick Jonas, and it became an integral part of Ben's biography, submitted for the Minimax Award from the Maxwell Football Club. After high school, Ben planned to enroll in East Stroudsburg University to study business, while Mary began considering post-secondary education coupled with specialized college courses. When asked if he would like to keep in touch and cross paths with Mary in the future, Ben said he would try to meet her whenever possible. Similarly, Mary, who had a keen interest in science, math, and football, expressed that she would love to see Ben. But regardless of where life took them, their heartwarming friendship and phenomenal prom tale would forever keep them connected. Let's move on to the next story. Jania experienced heaven on earth with her loving family before becoming an angel. The Aguilera family did not have her for long, yet they created the memories she wanted in a short time. At a younger age, siblings rival each other. Whether they're all girls, boys, or both, younger or older, siblings always fight over things. But as they grow older, they are often willing to protect each other more intentionally. They become loyal, and the older ones protect the younger ones. This happened with a family based in Denver, Colorado. The Aguilera family included a son and daughter. Their son, Josh, was a few years older than his sister, Jania. Everything seemed perfectly normal until she turned 12. Then, the young princess was diagnosed with a rare disease. She lived for 2 more years until her untimely death in 2014. While this was a devastating blow for the family and the entire neighborhood, Jania died a happy girl as her wish to go to prom came true. Jania had always been a bubbly and happy child, which made it easier for neighbors to relate with her. She lived in a small town with her family and had been nicknamed the first millennium baby born in the southeastern Colorado town known as Lamar. In 2012, she was diagnosed with osteosarcoma, a rare type of cancer. Without warning, the disease raced to attack her vital organs. Before then, one of her legs had been amputated. People from Lamar empathized with Jania as she lived with cancer and decided to be her beacon of hope. So they laced yellow ribbons around town. It made us proud to say, "I'm from Lamar," Jania's cousin admitted. The Aguileras appreciated the thoughtfulness. It even brought a smile to the face of the young lady. After her diagnosis, Jania was scheduled for several doctor visits and remained relatively healthy for 2 years. Then sadly, in 2014, she fell sick. This did not feel like the usual illness, nor anything she had ever experienced. The 8th grader realized she had limited time, so she made a bucket list, and going to prom was number 1. Josh saw his sister's list and asked if she would indeed be his prom date. He said, "She was just like, 'Oh my gosh, are you serious?' And then she started crying. And of course, it hit me, and I started crying. No one would have expected an 8th grader at a prom party, but Josh was ready to fulfill his sister's wish. After getting the school's permission and a few preparations by her family, Jania joined her brother for the big night. The pair arrived in elegant outfits. Josh looked dapper in a black tuxedo, while his sister appeared stunningly gorgeous in a strapless red dress for a princess. Other attendees cheered the siblings for their courage, but the most remarkable aspect of Jania's dream evening was being crowned prom queen. Family and friends were around to celebrate with the hearty young lady who rocked infectious smiles all evening. Jania had a memorable experience at the prom on a Saturday evening. She ended the day feeling amazing, but little did she know that she had less than 2 days left with her loved ones. On a Monday the following week, she died. Jania was only 14 years old at the time, but she showed incredible strength by living positively and never feeling pitiful. Instead, she wanted to enjoy her last days. The Aguileras hosted a burial ceremony for their precious daughter, and family, friends, and neighbors filled the auditorium to pay their last respects. Jania's death did not mean her family would shut out what she lived for. They continued to cherish the precious moments they shared with their daughter. In 2018, her mother, Melanie Schwartz, who was celebrating Childhood Cancer Month, shared an uplifting story about how her daughter's friends honored her during graduation. She shared images on Facebook featuring a group of students dressed in graduation gowns. They had visited Jania's graveside and posed next to her tombstone. In her words, "These kids were always spreading awareness for how they honored her. Throughout their high school years, they'd always remembered her and honored her in multiple ways. The best of all was their graduation. Half the class turned up at the cemetery to take a pic with our girl. The students put up an empty chair for their absent friend and decorated it with a hard copy image of the deceased. Then they donned yellow ribbons on their robes. During her speech, the class valedictorian, one of Jania's best friends, mentioned her name. Melanie's post consisted of an appreciation note and admission of cancer's horrific effects. She wrote, "Thank you all for always helping to honor her and spread awareness. Despite what appears like a sad ending for Jania, she lived an accomplished life, getting what she wished for. What's more, her family, friends, and neighbors remained compassionate until the very end. That is what true love is."